I'm going to move on to distributed manufacturing. It's gaining a lot of attention as companies look for more flexibility in how they build and deliver cell and gene therapy programs. But really, the question isn't just whether the model works in theory, but how to make it work consistently across sites, teams, times, all of that. And so, Emily, my first question under this topic is for you. What makes distributed manufacturing work well in practice and not just in theory and on paper?
Orchestration, absolutely orchestration. That's you're gaining a lot of flexibility, but you're adding a ton of complexity from a timing and delivery standpoint. So I think a very good PMO or project manager is absolutely critical to make sure that this analytical method is being developed when you're going to get that material, and that's got to come on timing, because a lot of people look at this overarching timeline, but making sure everybody comes to the party at the same time and bring what they're supposed to bring, if you know what I'm saying. So I think that is so important when it works on paper. Yeah, that's the number one thing. I honestly, it's the fragmentation is the biggest risk, in making sure that you can hold those pieces together and everyone's delivering what they said when they can be. And if something is late, because a lot of them don't have stability, and it'll just all go into your CMC package. So you got to make sure you have it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. We had a question come in from Brent. I'll open it up to both of you. It's really important from a patient perspective and a point of care perspective. How important is location and logistics? So shipping starting material and then the final product when choosing a CDMO. And I'd open it up to both of you.
Oh, Sugu, do you want to start with this one, or do you want me to jump in?
You can jump in first.
Sure. Brent, thanks so much for joining. I mean, I think it's fairly important. We're getting some more, we're getting to a better place where it used to be uber critical. I think cell therapy is a different game, right? Because that's patient material. And that usually is a very, very short processing or shelf life. I think that is probably the most critical location, just to make sure where's your clinical trial, where your clinician's going to apply it, how are they going to obtain the material. So I think cell therapy, it's still absolutely critical and crucial. I think you get a little bit more flexibility with the gene therapy. And, I think too, there needs to be some thought about materials and raw materials too, just in production in general. If the CDMO is located, by an incredible beach and you love going there and it's comfortable, but are you also incurring a lot of added cost just to use the site? So I think that's where supply chain and understanding pricing and procurement of materials is really important. And what vendors you may or may not get kind of locked into using when you think about that location. So that's more of, I try to apply to both a pricing perspective and then a patient perspective, but end of the day, cell therapy is still incredibly crucial.
For sure.
Yeah, I would agree with. Sorry. Yeah, I would agree with that. Especially for cell therapy, the holding the integrity of the patient material is, for instance, Kite has had manufacturing facilities distributed to serve a particular patient population exactly for that reason, to make sure that and as part of your process understanding, you do know what is acceptable, and then that also dictates where a manufacturing facility can be located. So I would consider that as well.
Great. Thank you both. And thanks, Brent, for submitting the question. Great question, as always. All right, Sugu, while I have you, let's talk about the kind of controls or governance that are most important when work is spread across multiple sites, multiple partners. What would you say are the most important when it comes to that?
Yeah, that's a really important question. Something that we also always make sure that we are adhering to is that you're making the same product everywhere, especially if you're making the product in multiple sites, to meet different regional, requirements and to serve different regional, patients. And the way to enable that same product everywhere, the few things. One is you need to have a single source of truth in terms of the process, the analytics, the vector, etc. That's the body of knowledge that you start with, and then you're also adding to based on your operational expertise. And then the processes also need to be harmonized. In other words, there are many ways to do the same unit operation, or a few ways to do the same unit operation. And you want to make sure that you're controlling that variability or eliminating that as much as possible so that your processes are harmonized. And also, what is a negotiable change versus what's non-negotiable from a product standpoint. You don't want to make any change that can actually alter the product characteristics. So that's important. So your processes, this SOPs all need to be harmonized. Now, specs may change across different regional requirements, and that complicates the spec alignment, but you still want to make sure that you are testing it for an additional specification, but you're still making the same product across all these sites. And I think that's really important to make sure there is no product drift. And if there is any type of product drift, you want to have the ability to detect that early on. So you need to have a centralized, technical ownership that is actually monitoring these, and then also learning from those experiences. You don't want a second site to make the same mistake that the first site made a year down the line or 2 years down the line. So the ability to learning and pass it around is really important. And also, sites may want to make certain changes depending on that particular site environment. And so it's important to understand what changes are acceptable, what may be only a site change, and then what could be a global change. And most importantly, how do you understand even the trends, even if it's not out of specification? How do you understand some trend that a particular site is going towards? I think these are all important, and especially because we talked a little bit about the variability. Every patient material could be different, and in order to, every site should be able to accommodate and manage that variability. And that's not always easy, from our own experiences. You have to have particular attention focused on that. The last thing I'll also talk about is for multi-site, the comparability. When you change something from one site to another site, right, whether it's a T cell or a viral vector, the comparability is extremely important. And like I mentioned earlier, cell and gene therapy is technically intensive, it's evolving. So what was okay to establish comparability a couple of years ago may need to be enhanced now. And it's important to understand what is needed to show that comparability as you go from one site to another site. And it gets particularly challenging when you consider that the incoming material could be variable, right? So you're not trying to show comparability on an even, stable scale, but you're trying to show it on a variable scale. So it's also important to understand what is that variability, what's causing the variability, and how do you show comparability in that, and how can you defend that to the agencies. I think all these become extremely important when you're running a multi-site or multi-partner manufacturing operation. That's the kind of controls you would need to have.